On January 3, 2026, the world woke up to shocking news from South America. The United States launched a large-scale military strike inside Venezuela, and President Nicolás Maduro and his wife were reported to have been captured and flown out of the country. Explosions rocked the capital, Caracas, as governments around the globe reacted. The future of Venezuela hung in the balance. Today we break down what happened, why it matters, and what could come next. Over the past decade, tensions between Venezuela and the United States had steadily escalated. Venezuela, rich in oil and mineral resources, had been governed since 2013 by Nicolás Maduro, the successor to Hugo Chavez. Maduro's leadership was deeply controversial due to economic collapse, authoritarian practices, and accusations of corruption and human rights abuses. The U.S. had accused his government of supporting drug trafficking and undermining democracy. In 2020, Maduro was indicted in U.S. courts on narcoterrorism conspiracy charges, formalizing a legal basis for U.S. pressure. In late 2025, the U.S. increased military forces in the Caribbean region under a campaign known as Operation Southern Spear, aimed at combating drug smuggling and criminal networks tied to the Venezuelan state. In the early hours of January 3, multiple explosions were heard in Caracas and surrounding areas. Residents reported low-flying aircraft and blasts near military installations, including the Fuerte Tayuna complex and other bases. At approximately 2 a.m. local time, reports emerged of at least 7 explosions around the capital, near military hangars, air bases, and communication antennas. Shortly afterward, U.S. President Donald Trump posted on social media that the U.S. had carried out a large-scale strike against Venezuela, and that Maduro and his wife, Cilia Flores, had been captured and flown out of the country. However, the Venezuelan government denied knowing Maduro's whereabouts and demanded proof of life, saying that it had declared a state of emergency and that forces were mobilizing to resist what it called military aggression. The situation created a tense standoff, with Caracas reporting damage to civilian and military sites, and citizens facing uncertainty about their leader's fate. The Venezuelan defense leadership condemned the strikes as a criminal attack and accused the United States of violating sovereignty. Caracas called for citizens to oppose foreign intervention. President Trump described the operation as successful and stated that further details would be shared at a press briefing. U.S. lawmakers, including both Republicans and Democrats, raised legal concerns that Congress had not authorized military action, prompting debate about legality and oversight. Countries in the region reacted strongly. Colombia mobilized troops to its border in anticipation of a potential refugee crisis and called for an emergency meeting of the United Nations Security Council. Cuba and Iran condemned the U.S. strikes as aggressive. Leaders in Europe called for de-escalation and respect for international law. The combination of military, political, and social unrest threatened to destabilize the region. This unprecedented military action raised complex questions. Under U.S. law, only Congress can declare war, yet the Trump administration appears to have bypassed Congress, raising controversy and legal challenges. Critics argued that the strike may violate both U.S. and international law. Internationally, the alleged capture of a foreign head of state by military force is extraordinary and could violate principles of sovereignty and non-intervention, potentially triggering global diplomatic crises, sanctions, or legal action in international courts. With Maduro's reported capture, uncertainty looms over Venezuela's leadership. While the U.S. claims control, Venezuelan officials assert resistance and demand evidence. Several scenarios could unfold. If Maduro is confirmed in U.S. custody, legal proceedings could be launched, potentially setting a precedent for international accountability. Venezuelan military and loyalist forces may mobilize against foreign forces. International institutions like the United Nations may act to de-escalate or condemn the action. Neighboring countries could see increased migration, economic disruption, and security crises. January 3, 2026, may prove to be one of the most consequential days in modern Latin American history. Whether viewed as a lawful pursuit of justice or unlawful foreign aggression, the reported capture of Nicolás Maduro has sent shockwaves worldwide. This story is still developing. Stay tuned for updates on official statements, expert analysis, and the unfolding situation in Venezuela. Analysts around the world are already debating the long-term consequences of this unprecedented event. Economists warn that Venezuela's fragile economy could face further collapse, while political experts highlight the possibility of a power vacuum leading to civil unrest or factional conflict. Meanwhile, global powers are carefully observing the situation, balancing diplomatic pressure with strategic interests in the region. For ordinary Venezuelans, the coming days may bring uncertainty, fear, and difficult choices, as the nation grapples with both internal divisions and international intervention.